contest. That is the worst mark in the Atlantic 10. It's counterbalanced a bit by the scoring of LaSalle, which is just under 78 per game, second best in the A10. But really, it's a defense that has to tighten up. And here is what John Giannini said after the loss to Rider a week ago, quoting here, "To win at this level, you have to be desperate for wins. You have to have superior effort. When you're up against a good, committed team, you, at a minimum, have to match their effort. It's not like we're not trying. It's just the level of effort we have is not enough. You've got to want to play defense. You've got to have some toughness. You have to be deeply committed to winning basketball games, and it has to be one of the most important things in your life because I know the people you're playing treat it that way." End quote. So talking to the head coach before the game, I said, "What have you done defensively?" And the first word out of his mouth, which was not unexpected, was work. And that's one of the things you have to do at practice is work. You have to want to play defense. And that's one of the things he has certainly emphasized. You have to have that commitment to play defense. You can't do it half-heartedly. The other thing he said is that they have really worked on their zone defenses, particularly the 1-3-1, which we saw here last week. And it sounds like we'll see a lot of the 1-3-1 tonight, especially when Jarrell Williams and Steve Weingarten are in the game at the same time. Those are two guys with length you can put on the wings or put one at the point of the 1-3-1. So that certainly will become part of the defensive arsenal tonight for LaSalle. And as I mentioned earlier, this Townsend team led by Braxton Dupree, who averages a double-double at 13 points, 10 rebounds. The emphasis tonight is quite simply don't let him catch the ball, especially if he gets positioned in the low block. For Eric Murray, whether it's man or zone, or Devin White, if he's in the game, the idea is to not allow the ball to come in there to Dupree where he can do a lot of damage. And the help you can get on that for your big man is the guys on the perimeter, whether you're a wing player or whether you're up top as a guard, is to make that entry pass very difficult for the Townsend Tigers. Don't slack off and make it an easy pass in there. Get up there, put some pressure on the ball handler, and see if you can be disruptive in that manner. Cale Beers will call the game for us tonight. We're running out of time here in the pregame show, but Cale, certainly Coach G has not been happy with the defense. And as we talked about last week, if you have a bad shooting night and you're playing defense, you still have a chance to win. The Explorers looking for ways to tighten up that defensive effort.
Yeah, I think everybody's a little bit puzzled and really anxious to see what's going to happen with this basketball team from here on out. I mean, it's so much optimism, and now it's wait and see kind of mode. And Coach Giannini's no different. You can only tell the guys so many times how you want them to play, but they got to execute, and it starts on the defensive end. As you said, if they're not scoring well, fine. Let's get some stops. But in the last two games, it wasn't really the offense that was the problem. It was getting people not to score. That was the problem.
So just the second meeting all time between Townsend and LaSalle, the first since 1983. An Explorer wins 79-78. Townsend comes in losers of two straight, 3-7 overall on the season. The Explorers have dropped 3 in a row to fall back to the 500 mark. LaSalle comes in with a record of 6-6 on the season. Thank you for tuning in to tonight's Explorer pregame show. Stay tuned. Cale has the call next between Townsend and LaSalle from Tom Goal Arena on the LaSalle Basketball Radio Network.
Thanks for listening to tonight's pregame show. Now that we've got you amped up, it's go time. Join us each game night 15 minutes before tip-off for the Explorer pregame show. Cale, Steve, and the crew are just around the corner with tip-off of tonight's action. This is the LaSalle Basketball Radio Network.
AM 1340 WHAT Philadelphia, your home for LaSalle Explorers basketball and the greatest music of all time.
Explorers down by 9. Crossing midcourt, Jarrell Williams slams it down.
Over 75 seasons, 30 players sent to the NBA, over 1,200 wins, 3 National Players of the Year, and 2 national championships. Now the tradition continues.
The flashes it to Steve Weingarten, high post. He's going to dribble once, then dish it off to Devin White, who throws down the jam.
This is LaSalle University basketball. Explorer Basketball is brought to you by corporate partners Albert Einstein Healthcare Network, the LaSalle University Alumni Association, AT&T, Andorra MRI, Crown Plaza, Philadelphia West, Dunkin' Donuts, Intern U, Independence Blue Cross, and NovaCare.
The entry pass to Jarrell Williams. Into the paint, pump fake, extra pass. Murray the slams there.
Tonight's game is also made possible by supporting sponsors: Carfagno Chevrolet, Ambler, Fireplace and Patio, Amtrak, B&E Sportswear, Beneficial Bank, Brothers of the Christian Schools, Dole Package Goods, LaSalle University School of Business, Standard Digital Imaging and Printing, Stouts Charter Service, the Talamore Family of Clubs, Ugly Moose, and Chipotle on City Avenue.
He leads the Explorers up court, into the corner, three-pointer. Ruben Galando! He hits a triple, and the Explorers are up by 10.
Now, time to get down to business. It's game time. Now, let's go courtside with the Explorers and your broadcast team. The voice of the Explorers, Cale Beers and Steve Degler. It's game day at LaSalle.
Florida, number 11, Dre.
Good evening, everybody. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from LaSalle University. I'm Cale Beers alongside Steve Degler, and this is Explorer basketball. Tonight, the Explorers try to snap a 3-game losing skid, which continued with their loss against Rider last time out a week ago on the 22nd by hosting the Towson Tigers. Towson comes into the game 3-7. The Explorers are 6-6 and trying desperately to get the ship righted after a promising early start to the season. With tonight's starting lineups is my partner, Steve Degler.
Cale, thank you very much. Towson will be without Rayshawn Polk, one of their guards who averages 13 points a game. So here is the Tigers' lineup. In the backcourt is Josh Brown. He is a 6'1 senior from Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Also at guard, Dre Connor, a 6-foot freshman from Lauderdale Lakes, Florida. And the third guard is Brian Morris. He is a graduate student, 6'5", out of Camp Hill, Pennsylvania, a transfer from Richmond. At one forward is Isaiah Fillmore. He is a 6'7 sophomore from Falston, Maryland, averaging a team best 14.6 points per game. And the other forward is Braxton Dupree, averaging a double-double, 13 points, 10 rebounds. He is a 6'8 junior from Baltimore, Maryland. The head coach of the Tigers at his 5th school is Pat Kennedy in his 7th season at Towson, 487 career victories. Jim Meal, the associate head coach, Rayshawn Burno, and Phil Cohen are the assistants. LaSalle has a much different look to the lineup. Tyreek Doran will come off the bench tonight, hasn't practiced much because of his various injuries. Ruben Galando took ill over the holiday. He is not here and will not be in the starting lineup tonight. So the guards are Sam Mills, who is a 6'2 freshman from Sunrise, Florida, and Earl Pettis, a 6'5 junior from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The center, Eric Murray, a 6'10 sophomore from Philadelphia. At one forward, Jarrell Williams, averaging 19 points per game in his last 5. He is a 6'8 senior from Paterson, New Jersey. And the other forward, getting his first start of the year, is Steve Weingarten. He is a 6'8 senior from Baltimore, Maryland. The head coach of the Explorers in his 7th season is Dr. John Giannini. Assistant coaches are Horace Owens, Harris Adler, and Will Bailey. The officiating crew tonight, the referee is Brian O'Connell. The umpires are Philadelphia's own Joe DeMeo and Dwayne Gladden.
Thanks a lot, partner. The LaSalle Explorers will come to midcourt wearing their home whites. Their Under Armour's trimmed in gold and blue. Towson in all black, also Under Armour with gold trim. We'd like to welcome everybody listening around the world. GoExplorers.com through Red Zone Media. You can email Steve and I at LaSalleSID1 at AOL.com. That's LaSalleSID1 at AOL.com, and on the AOL Instant Messenger at LaSalleSID1. Happy holidays, everybody. Thanks for being with us tonight. As you might anticipate, a small crowd on hand with the students on break and the holiday activity underway. Not a full house, not close to it. The tip is won by Eric Murray, but out of bounds, so the Explorers will play defense to start things off. He tipped it directly back into his left into the Explorer team bench, and so it's Towson basketball.
A little too much on that tip by Murray.
Has a tendency to do that. So on the inbounds, Towson will start things off. Brian Morris inbounds, gets it immediately into